So thank you for joining. Go ahead and find yourself a comfortable position. That could be sitting here on your shins like I am. Maybe you have a block and you stick it between the ankles, or you can find yourself in Sukhasana, that easy, comfortable cross-legged position. Either are totally fine. And then just allowing yourself to kind of come into this space. Maybe that means that you have a downward gaze. Maybe that means that you even allow the eyes to softly close. And just allowing yourself to settle in, connecting and taking notice of the breath as it's entering through the nose. And then possibly exiting through the nose, maybe exiting through the mouth, if that is a more natural breath pattern for you. Just taking those couple rounds of breath here. And then I'll begin to give some cues as well as we progress with this early and grounding breath awareness for this afternoon. On the next inhale, working to channel that breath in through the nose, visualizing as it is swirling around through the sinus cavities and being sent down in along the spine to enter in through the lungs, expanding through the rib cage. And then on the exhale, imagine that breath is channeling back up through that same path, exiting through the nose. Taking that same visualization a second time around, once again, reminding that breath is circulating, getting warm and moistened as it's being sent down into the lungs, expanding through the chest. And then exhaling as you activate through the abs to send and force that breath back up and out through the nose. You might even place one hand on the belly, one hand on the chest. This time around, feeling that inhale, maybe that expansion is taking place through the chest. Maybe it's taking place through the rib cage, or maybe it's expanding through the belly. And then on the exhale, as that breath is coming up and out, allow the shoulders to drop down and back. Nice adjustment, Michelle. Taking another round of breath here, feeling that feedback throughout the hands and that expansion across the ribs, the chest, or the belly. And then once again, imagining that that belly button is squeezing in, those rib cages are coming together, and that breath is going back out through the nose. Once more like that, as the breath is coming down in, grounding throughout the body, allow that spine to grow tall, feeling the length being created throughout the top of the head. And then on that exhalation out, you are still remaining grounding by dropping that shoulders down and back. Nice job. And then just taking another couple rounds here as we settle into this space and time. This month's community practice, if you happen to take a read through the website, is very much focused on the heart. The extension of the heart, which means in through the chest, the shoulders, the top back part of the body, and our arms. Our arms are a direct extension of our heart. We see that in the hugs that we give and that we receive, and those acts of service that we offer and receive, both to and from others. And so for these last couple rounds of breath today, our mindful awareness practice, just send that breath into that heart center, that space behind the rib cage, behind that hand, that universal spot that you might think of and point to when you say, "This is me." Feeling that expansion with every inhale here. And exhaling out that extension of the self. And then slowly dropping the hands, allowing them to make contact on the sides of the earth. Fingertips are planted. Inhaling, pressing down through those fingertips and allowing the spine to grow tall. Exhaling, once again, dropping the shoulders down and back. And then on the inhale, sending those hands up, allowing the shoulders to rise up as they reach nice and tall. And then on the exhale, dropping them down to the side, coming back around, fingertips reaching onto the earth. Inhale, sending the fingertips up and out, up overhead, gazing up. Exhaling as you reach out and around. Once more like that, inhaling the hands up and out overhead, exhaling as they come down to the sides. This time, inhaling this right hand up overhead, and then exhaling as you send it over to the left side, inching that left hand out onto the mat, creating that arc, that length over that top right side of the body. Being mindful to connect here with the breath as well, allowing it to permeate and lengthen along the muscles, those little spaces in between the ribs. And then the next option that you have here is to consider moving that top arm with the breath up and over, creating that arch, that rainbowing, that painting stroke up and over. Nice and slow here. And then if you've chosen that movement, let's all allow that right hand to remain up over the ear. And then on the inhale, gazing down at that left hand. And on the exhale, opening the chest to the sky. Maybe that right hand comes into a little bit of a field goal post and feeling that openness throughout the chest. Right side is facing up, gazing up. And then on the inhale, once again, straightening that arm out and over the ear, gazing down at that left hand. Sweeping that right hand around to the knees, and then planting both fingertips down on the earth, once again, stacking the spine. Just taking notice if there's any difference in this right hand in comparison to this left hand. And then on the next inhale, let's bring this left hand up overhead, exhaling as we take it up and over to the right side. Once again, inching those right fingertips out, creeping them to the side, and then feeling that grounding down throughout that left hip as you lengthen that left arm up and over, creating that arc once again. Finding the breath in this posture here. And then that same option for you, if it felt nice and you want to explore, create that rainbowing effect up and over with that left hand. Allowing the breath to come in and out as you move one bit up and then extending down and around. Nice job. Once more like that. And then on the next inhale, let's all have that left arm come out over the left ears. And then gaze down at the right hand as it makes contact with the earth on the inhale here. And then on the exhale, imagine that opening of the chest, and then that left hand, that left gaze comes upwards to the sky, feeling that openness of the chest as it's facing the ceiling, facing the sky. Taking a round of breath here as well. And then on the inhale, gazing down at that right hand. Exhale, sweeping that left hand around and in front of the knees, finding its place once again, both hands on each side of the body. And then if you have that Sukhasana, the cross-legged position, go ahead and switch the crossing of the legs here. Just feeling that sensation, allowing that blood flow to permeate through both of the legs. And then placing our fingertips on our knees. I'm going to turn to the side here. And then inhale as you tuck the chin round the spine. This time feeling the length, that stretch that's being created throughout the back, the top back part of the chest. You might even consider that the back of the heart. Remaining in this position, but not holding the breath. And then on to the next inhale, rolling the shoulders up, releasing the fingertips from the knees, and then opening them behind you. Allowing the inhale and the exhale to permeate through the body in this opposite and opened position. Being mindful that this lifting is happening through the chest, that it's not being led by the neck, that it's not being crunchy in the lower spine. Your hands can support on the outer side of your hips or even on the lower back if that's more comforting for you. Taking a round of breath here. And then let's add some movement into these seated cat-cows. Inhale, the hands come back to the knees, tucking the chin, rounding the spine. Maybe you even allow some forward and backward movements here, shaking through the hips. Once again, making sure the breath is it's flowing through the body. And then releasing the hands as they come back, opening throughout the chest, maybe placing a hand on the lower back, feeling that expression of openness, of receptiveness throughout the heart and the chest as the shoulders drop back. And then taking a couple more rounds of these seated cat-cows in the speed and the depth that works for your body today. You can either hold in this position, one or the other, or you can be more fluid and dynamic. Just being mindful that even if you are holding the posture, the breath is still flowing. Let's take one more round like that. And then we will meet in that seated upright position. Nice job. And so if you are sitting on a block like I am, go ahead and move it out of the way. If you are cross-legged, go ahead and roll forward, coming into our tabletop position. And so in this position, you want to make sure that the hips are stacked over the knees and the wrists and the elbows are stacked over the shoulders. Nice job. And so on the inhale, let's step that left foot back. We've been sitting on the legs for a bit, and then just rocking forward and back here. Despite the focus on an openness throughout the chest and the heart, we can't be open and receptive to others and new things unless we're stable. And so finding this stability, this grounding by connecting to the lower body is really important. And then pressing back, imagining that that left heel might someday reach down into the earth. And then rocking forward, lifting that back leg up off of the mat, and then sending that right hand forward. Coming into our nice, sturdy, stable bird dog here, thumb up, toe down. And then inhale as you curl the knee in towards the nose. Exhaling as you extend, toe down, thumb up. Nice job. Once more like that. Rounding, knee in towards nose. Exhale, extending, thumb up, toe down. Once more like that. Inhaling as you round, knee in towards nose. Exhale, thumb up, toe down. And then releasing both hands and both knees onto the mat, shaking the hips side to side here. And then coming back to stabilize yourself down through center, spreading the fingers out nice and wide, and then stepping that right foot back this time, rocking forward and back on those toes, feeling that stretch. Maybe you feel it in the back of the leg. Maybe you feel it in the front of the leg or the ankle. Maybe it's in the wrist as well. And then let's press back, holding this posture, imagining that that right heel could someday reach the earth. And then inhale as you rock forward, and then exhale as you lift that back right leg off the mat, extending that left arm forward. Once again, thumb up, toe down. Finding the stability, engaging with the abs here, and then on to the inhale, bringing the knee in towards the nose, curling. Exhale, extending out, thumb up, toe down. Nice job. Inhaling, curling, knee in towards nose. Once again, extending, holding here, engaging through the abs. And then last one, curling knee in towards the nose. Exhaling, finding that stability, that grounding, and then releasing. Slowly sinking the hips back and down, coming into our child's pose. We're going to have a traditional child's pose here, so our knees are together. And I'm going to challenge you to tuck the chin nice and tight, imagining that that very top of the hairline might someday make contact with the earth, might make contact with the knees. And so by doing this, you might feel an additional stretch throughout the lower spine, allowing the forehead then to make contact with the earth, releasing in case the forearms and the elbows were into the air, pressing them into the earth as well. And then taking a round of breath here. With the inhale, you imagine that lengthening taking place along the back of the neck with that tucked chin. And with the exhale, can you imagine that the hips and the booty are making contact with the heels? And then on the next inhale, let's bring our hands back, allowing them to grip onto the outer side of our feet, that pinky toe side, and the heels. And then on the next inhale, making contact with the forehead on the earth, slowly lifting the hips up, allowing that force, that stretch to take place along the shoulders, tucking the chin. Nice job. Grounding down in through the feet as to not put too much weight in the head. And then slowly releasing, allowing the hips to once again rest on the heels. And then you might even release your hands out to the side, facing them palms up. And so if you can imagine that someone would come behind you and pour a glass of water across the shoulders, that water would flow out and over your shoulder blades. They're nice and round, opening throughout the back part of the heart of the chest. Let's do that once again, gripping onto the outer part of the feet and the heels, making contact with the forehead on the mat, and then inhaling as you lift the hips up, remaining the hands and feet in contact, allowing the breath to flow throughout this posture, making sure to not dump too much weight into the head, and so you're pressing into that shoelace part of the feet. And then one more round of breath here. Exhaling as you lower down, hips onto heels, flopping the arms out to the side, the palms face up, thumbs are in towards your heels. And then on the next inhale, reaching your hands to come back beside the ears, and then slowly pressing into the earth. Once again, coming into that tabletop position. Nice job. On the inhale, step one foot back, step the other foot back, and meet in our high plank. Engaging throughout the abs here, leveraging that same bit of strength, feeling the backside of the legs engage as you imagine the heels are leading back. And then slowly but surely tipping the hips up, bringing the feet in a little bit closer and coming into our first downward facing dog of class. Having some bend in the knees here, and then walking one foot out, the other foot out. Just allowing that stretch to take place along the backside of the legs, pressing the earth away. Really feeling that connection between that first pointer finger and the thumbs as you press, allowing the shoulders, that space between the ears and the shoulder blades. And so just feeling out, walking one heel, walking another heel, and then maybe shaking out through the hips, coming into a point of stillness as to whatever your dog looks like today. And let's take 3 rounds of breath here together. On your inhale, imagining the breath coming up from the hands, meeting at the apex of this V. And then on the exhale, that breath skis down and back off the legs. Once again, inhale, pressing the earth away, sending that breath up the arms. And then exhale as it sweeps down off the back of the legs. Once more like that. On this next exhale, bend the knees and come up to the tippy toes, looking forward, and then walking, stepping or jumping the feet to the front of the mat. We're going to meet here in a forward fold, bending the knees, planting the palms into the earth, and then straightening throughout the legs. Imagining that the top of the head will make contact with the earth someday. Inhale once again, bending through the knees. Exhale as you tip the pelvis up, the forehead and top of head down. Inhale, bending the knees. Exhale, this time coming up into our flat back. Hands are on the shins. Exhale once again, bending the knees, planting the hands, and then slowly working to roll yourself up, coming into this Tadasana. Palms face forward, heart and chest are nice and open. Inhale as you bring your hands up overhead, the gaze follows. Exhale as you hinge at the hips, bend at the knees, come into our forward fold. Inhale as we rise once again to our halfway lift, flat back. Exhale as we bend the knees, plant the hands, and step that left foot back. We're going to meet in our low lunge here. Taking a round of breath. Once again, imagining that that left back heel is a piece of strength. Pardon. And then lowering down, coming off that back knee, untucking the back toe, and then walking the hands up onto the right thigh. Taking a round of breath here as we feel this stretch throughout the front left hip flexor. Being mindful that you can see the right toes over the right knee. And then options for the hands can be up overhead, can be out as cactus arms or field goal arms, or you can interlace them behind your back. Once again, practicing that openness to the chest, to the heart. Taking a couple rounds of breath here, grounding down through that front right foot, stabilizing through that back left leg as well. And then inhaling the hands, let's all bring them up overhead. Exhale as we shift forward, reaching the hands forward, and then dropping this left hand down onto the mat, reaching the right one up overhead. If you would like, you can untuck that back left toe, releasing the knee off the mat and coming into our side twist. Options for this top right hand are to create those rainbows, just like we did before. You can keep the hand up over the right ear, or you can reach it back behind. Once again, taking that twist and opening the chest to the right side. Nice job. Allowing the breath to permeate here, feeling that openness throughout the right side. And then if you are up off of that back knee, go ahead and release down and tuck the toe. And let's have both of our hands come to the inside of that right foot. And then slowly inch that back knee back. And then just allow yourself to have these hands making contact with the earth here, feeling this openness being created throughout the back left hip flexor, as well as the right hip. You might even point that right toe out to the side, that front right side of the mat. If you choose to turn that right toe out, really press down into the right toe to not compromise the knee. Taking a round of breath here. And then if you've turned that right toe out to the right, go ahead and allow it to face forward. Untuck that back toe coming up off of the knee, pressing into the earth and sending that right foot back, coming into our downward facing dog. Taking a round of breath here as well. Let's take another one actually. And then slowly shifting forward, once again, meeting in that high plank. And then lowering down onto the knees, untucking the toes, coming to lower down the chest and the chin, fully releasing onto the mat, planting the hands about the nipple line, and then inhale as you rise up into our low cobra, engaging to squeeze those elbows in towards the ribs, supporting, and imagining that opening taking place in the chest and the front body. Lowering down, releasing, creating that palm pillow for the forehead to rest on. And then allowing the hips to shake side to side. Inhale as you bring the hands back towards the nipple line, untucking the toes, pressing up into our high plank, and then shifting back as we come to that inverted V, that downward facing dog. Taking another round of breath here. On the next inhale, bending the knees, coming to the tippy toes, looking forward, walking, stepping to the front of the mat, meeting in our forward fold. Inhale as we bend the knees, plant the hands. Exhale as we straighten through the legs, tipping to allow the top of the head to meet one day with the mat. Inhale as we bend through the knees. Exhale as we tip to the top of the head. And then inhale once more here. Exhale as we come to our flat back, hands on the shins. Exhale as we fold forward, and then inhale as we bring our hands together, allowing ourselves to come upright, hands and gaze overhead. Exhale as we bring the hands to heart center, opening them to the side, standing well, Tadasana. Reconnecting with the breath here. And then let's take that to the other side. Inhale, the hands come up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, we fold forward. Inhale, rising to that halfway left flat back. Exhale, bending the knees, planting the hands, stepping that right foot back, meeting in our low lunge. Finding that stability here, leveraging the strength of that back right leg. And then options to untuck the back knee and the ankle, walking the hands up to that left thigh, and then allowing yourself to shift forward just enough so you feel that stretch throughout that front right hip flexor. Sending the breath into this part of the body once again, this nice stabilizing lower half. Must exercise it to be able to extend up and out. And then let's inhale to bring our hands up overhead, untucking that back toe and lifting as we move into our high lunge. The hands can come out at our field goal arms, or they can be back behind, reaching up overhead. The option for you to remain on the knee is always here as well. And then let's all have our hands come up overhead, dropping onto that back knee. And then shifting forward, feeling that stretch, creating that movement of the shoulders, and then releasing that right hand down onto the inner part of the left foot and reaching the left hand up overhead, coming into that twist. Nice job. Options here, you can also untuck that back toe, once again, coming up off the knee. You can allow that rainbowing to take place with that top left hand, or you can reach it back behind as well. Any and all of those are here for you. And then if you are up off of that back knee, let's go ahead and drop down. Hands come up overhead, reaching forward, and then releasing both hands onto the inner part of that left foot. You might have to heel toe that left foot out to the left side of the mat to create that space. And you might also inch that right leg back. Hands are planted nice and firm onto the mat as you once again feel that stretch throughout the front hip flexor on that right side, throughout that left hip, and you might even point that left toe to the top left part of the mat. If you're turning that toe out, be sure that the entire inner arch and big toe on the left foot are planted into the earth so that you're not straining the knee. Taking another round of breath here. And then if you have that left toe pointed to the left side of the mat, shimmy it so that it's facing the front of the mat, planting all of the fingers into the toes or into the mat, untucking the back toe, and then sending that left foot up and back, coming into our downward facing dog. Taking those couple rounds of breath here, resettling into this posture, maybe noticing if there's any differences from how you started class. And then on the next inhale, shifting forward, coming to the toes, meeting in high plank, and then lowering the knees, untucking the toes, bending the arms, and allowing the chest and chin to make contact with the earth. Pointing the toes, planting the hands. Inhale as you leverage the abs, the lower spine, to lift into our low cobra. Feeling the shoulders, feeling them wrapping around, and the elbows coming in to support through the ribs. And then slowly releasing, creating that palm pillow once again, and allowing the forehead to rest here. You might find that comfort in shaking the hips side to side. Reconnecting with the breath here. And then on the inhale, planting the palms about the nipple line once again, untucking the back toes, lifting up into our high plank, holding here, engaging through the abs, feeling the strength of the heels grounding down, and then releasing one knee, releasing the other knee, sinking down and back as we come into our child's pose. Let's make this an active child's pose. So that can be knees wide, knees together. I want you to be inching your arms forward. That means that the forearms and the elbows are up off of the mat. The forehead might also be lifted. And you're just imagining those little fingertips are marching forward, marching forward. I always think of those ants go marching one by one, that song, but that's just me. And then wherever the hands come to, allow the full extent of the palm to make contact with the earth. And then just drop now the forearms and the elbows onto the earth. You'll feel an interesting openness throughout the shoulder blades. Once again, imagining that that water would roll off the edges of the back. And then coming back into that ants go marching, the fingertips are going forward. Taking a round of breath here. And then on the next exhale, let's take both hands over to the right side. Feeling that stretch once again throughout the left side of the body. We have been here just in a different orientation with gravity today. So just taking note, allowing that connection throughout the left hips and the left heels to either take place or work towards connecting. That stabilizing foundation must be created to allow that stretching up and over of the left side, that extension of the heart to be created. And then inhaling as you bring your hands back towards center once again, imagining those ants are marching forward, and then dropping the forearms, dropping the elbows onto the earth. Feeling that openness as it's being created on the sides of the body. And then inhaling as you extend the fingers. And then exhaling as you take them this time over to the right. Once again, let's make that contact or visualize creating contact of the booty and the right heel, allowing those stabilizing heavy hips to do what they do best and ground us down. That grounding down then can allow that stretch, that extension to take place on the right side of the body. On the next inhale, bringing the hands back towards center, and then slowly rolling, bringing the fingertips back towards the knees, allowing yourself to stack the spine, coming into that beginning seated posture. And then selecting a side and then shifting off to that side. If you have that blanket, if you have that pillow near, you might want to go ahead and grab it. I'm going to grab mine to show you. Options for you. If you have a tight lower back and or the backs of the legs, I want you to sit up on that pillow or that blanket. Just creating a little bit of a rise throughout the hips, and then come to the very edge of that blanket, almost imagining that if the pelvis were a bowl, which it is, that it could tip forward. If you're carrying some water in this pelvic bowl, that water is going to tilt off towards the front. And then allowing the legs to still remain bent, but stretched out in front, flexing through the feet, lengthening throughout the spine. And then on the exhale, taking the hands to walk them forward, keeping a flat back, chest is open, and then allowing the belly and the ribs to make contact with the tops of the thighs. Your gaze is out in front, not turning down. Feeling that stability that is created throughout the pelvis, that contact with the blanket or the mat. And then maybe, just maybe, you stretch one heel out, stretch another heel out. The palms are still planted on the sides of the legs into the mat. Nice flat back here. And then if you would like, just tucking the chin a bit rather than curling through the spine here, keeping that flat back, but just tucking the chin and imagining that that length is being created through the back of the neck. The back of the neck is an extension of the spine. It's a very tippy top of the spine. You might even close your eyes as we're in this flat back forward fold. And then slowly releasing, walking the hands back alongside the body, coming closer to the hips, allowing the spine to stack upright once again. And then pointing the toes, flexing the toes, maybe the heels come up off the earth, pointing the toes, flexing the toes once again. And then on the next inhale, bringing the soles of the feet together. So that way, it's almost as if the feet are a book and you could open them in front of you. The knees are out wide, allowing the flesh to kind of move out of the way of the sits bones as you stack the spine once again. And then finding that length with the inhale. And then exhale as we hinge forward once again, keeping the openness in the chest, that flat back. The hands can come to the pinky toe side edge of the foot. Gazing forward, up and out. Maybe someday the elbows might reach the outer part, the fronts of the shins. And then just allow yourself to breathe into this posture, recognizing where you feel it in the body. Maybe it's felt on the inner thighs. Maybe it's felt in the groin or the hips. Maybe this is felt throughout the chest and the lower back. And then once again, if you feel the need, you can slightly tuck the chin. Rather than rounding the spine, imagine that lengthening that takes place across the back of the neck. Sending breath into this posture here. Some yogic scholars think that the hips and the shoulders are very similar. They can both hold a lot of stress. And as we work to open through the shoulders, we can't negate the openness throughout the hips. It's complementary joint. And so slowly on the next inhale, straightening throughout the arms, allowing that same flat back to come to its upright position, stacking the spine, taking the hands to the outer part of the knees and bringing them in together, straightening out that left leg, keeping that right leg in nice and close. And then on the inhale, bringing that left hand up overhead, and then exhale as you sweep it out and around, turning to the right, planting that right hand down back behind you, and then gazing out at to what would be a 3 o'clock on the clock face, the right side of the body. Engaging this left straight leg, flexing throughout the foot, and then hugging that right knee in with the left arm just a little bit more. On the inhale, pressing into that back right arm, allowing the spine to grow tall. And then on the exhale, maybe taking that twist a little bit further. Allowing another 1 to 2 rounds of breath here. And then slowly releasing, coming back through center, And then opening towards the left side, taking that counter twist. Nice job. Coming back into center, switching the legs, right goes forward, left comes in bent. Settling once again into this posture, grounding down, straightening and flexing through that right straight leg, inhaling the right hand up overhead, and then exhale as it comes out and around, hugging that left knee in, and then planting that left hand behind you to allow this twist to take place to the opposite side. Once again, checking to flex through that straight right leg. Inhale as you press that back left arm into the earth, lengthening throughout the spine. And then exhale, taking that hug in nice and tight and opening to the left side. On the next inhale, slowly releasing, coming back through center, and then continuing to take that counter twist, opening now to the right side of the body. On the inhale, coming back through center once again, straightening both legs out and giving them a little bit of a bounce here. If you're sitting up on that block, that pillow or blanket, go ahead and remove it, planting it off to the side, bending through the knees, and then allowing yourself to slowly work your way onto the back. Knees remain up in the air, feet are planted. And then just reconnecting, feeling that stability throughout the back side of the body. The hands can be alongside. Palms can face up, palms can face down. Choosing whichever feels right for your body. And then planting, pressing the feet into the earth to allow the shoulders to make a nice strong impact into the mat. Releasing and tilting the hips forward, releasing, and maybe there's a little bit of a bridge being created in the lower part of the spine now. And then once again, pressing the soles of the feet into the earth, allowing that lower back and the shoulders to make contact. If it was a stamp, it would be a full-on stamp onto the mat. And then releasing once again, allowing that little bridge, that archway to be created in the lower spine. And then on the next inhale, straightening that right leg up overhead, flexing through the foot, and then pointing through the toes here, flexing once again, pointing through the toes, and then flexing as you take that right knee out over the left, or sorry, the right foot over the left knee, opening into a reclined figure 4 here. Allowing the hands to make contact, the left on the hip, grounding down, and that right hand might help encourage an openness throughout the inner thighs on the right side. It's not about pressing out with that right hand, but instead it's about creating that boundary so that that right knee doesn't collapse in. Closing the eyes or having a soft gaze if this feels comfortable for you. Just noticing how in this posture, if the shoulder blades, that kind of position on the back body where those angel wings might attach, either are or are not connected to the earth. And then taking another round of breath here. And then inhaling, bringing that knee, that right knee into the chest. And then straightening that right leg out, pointing the toes, taking both hands up overhead. Left knee is still into the air, left foot is grounded. And then finding that bridge, that arc through the lower spine once again. And then releasing, planting both feet into the earth, knees into the air. And then sending that left leg up overhead, pointing throughout the ankle and flexing once again, pointing throughout the ankle, and then flexing, this time taking that left ankle, crossing it over the right knee, and then opening for the figure 4 on this side. Finding that right hand, allowing it to ground down throughout the right hip, and then encouraging that openness with the left hand on the left inner thigh. And then once again, if it feels safe and comfortable in your space, you can close the eyes. And just comparing, if you had that stamp, that imprint of the back side of the body, how it might look versus the other side. It's very likely that there is one side of the hips that has increased range of motion in comparison to the other. The same thing is very likely with the shoulders. We are often right or left hand, left side dominated. Taking another round of breath here. And then slowly bringing that left knee into the chest, giving it a nice hug. And then stretching that left leg out, pointing the toes and bringing the hands up overhead. Once again, feeling that little bit of a bridge, an openness being created in the lower spine. And then slowly releasing both feet out, stretching the legs. The hands come down alongside the hips. Working our way into our final resting pose here. You might go ahead before you settle in and grab that pillow, grab that blanket, and then allow yourself to find that comfortable resting position. Palms can face up, palms can face down. Toes might point out to the sides of the practice space. And then just release any intentional breath manipulation. Closing the eyes and just feeling the contact of the ground as it's supporting the backside of the body. Coming into our nidra part of practice today. Just allowing the breath to fill the body. Once again, taking note if with that inhale, the belly, the chest, or the ribs are rising, expanding outwards. And then with the exhale, feeling that knitting together of the ribs. And then being mindful on that next inhale that comes into your body, sending that breath into that heart space, that universal me spot. And then exhaling out from that same heart space. Focusing in on that spot throughout the body for the next couple rounds of breath. Bringing to your attention someone, something, some instance or event in your life that has brought you joy or has made you feel love. allowing that breath to both be sent into that heart space while you're also imagining that person, that place, that incident or thing in your life that has allowed you to feel loved. And then I would offer you the chance to also imagine something or someone, an instance that you know you can show love by doing, saying, or thinking. That could be, like I said, towards another, or that could be towards yourself. And then allowing the next 3 breaths to be that intention of love that you send out, being received by another or being received by yourself. And let's take an inhale here together. Inhaling through the nose, opening the mouth, exhaling out. Doing that once more. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling out through the mouth. Bringing that awareness back into that heart space, that chest, that universal me spot. And then as an extension of the heart, bringing your awareness to the right hand, the right thumb, pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, and pinky finger. Sending breath and sending love out to that right hand, releasing and relaxing through that right hand. And then sending love and breath to the right forearm. Exhaling out, releasing and relaxing through the right forearm. Sending love and breath to the right shoulder. Releasing and relaxing through your right shoulder. And then sending breath and sending love to your entire right arm. Releasing and relaxing through that entire right extension of the heart. Sending breath and awareness back through that heart center. Releasing and relaxing through your heart center. And then taking your awareness and sending breath and love to that extension, that left hand, that left thumb, first finger, middle finger, fourth finger, and pinky finger. Releasing and relaxing through your entire left hand. And then sending love and sending breath to the left forearm. Releasing and relaxing through the left forearm. Sending breath and sending love to that left shoulder. Releasing and relaxing throughout the left shoulder. And then sending love and sending breath to that entire left arm. Releasing and relaxing through that left arm. Sending love and sending awareness back in through the heart center. Cultivating that image of love that you have received or that you choose to give. Breathing back through the entire front and back side of this heart center as you imagine that feeling of love coming into your body, or that feeling of love extending outwards. Bringing your awareness to your shoulders, sending love, sending breath into your shoulders, and then releasing and relaxing, dropping through the shoulders. Doing that once again. Inhaling, sending breath, sending love in through the shoulders. Releasing and relaxing, dropping down through the shoulders. Sending love and attention to the back side of the neck. Releasing and relaxing throughout the back side of the neck. Sending love and attention throughout the throat. That verbal extension, that verbal expression of the heart. Releasing and relaxing throughout the throat. Sending love and breath in through the jaw. Releasing and relaxing throughout your jaw. Let's do that again. Sending love and breath into the jaw. Releasing and relaxing throughout the jaw. Sending love and awareness in through the tongue. Releasing and relaxing throughout the tongue. Sending love and awareness in through the tongue, releasing and relaxing through the tongue. And then sending that love and sending that awareness into the space between the eyebrows, releasing and relaxing throughout the forehead. And let's take that one again. Sending love and breath into the forehead, releasing and relaxing throughout the forehead. And then sending that love and awareness into the top of the head, that crown part. And then releasing and relaxing the best you can throughout the entire head. Sending love and sending breath throughout the entire body. Releasing and relaxing the best you can throughout the entire body. Releasing and relaxing the best you can throughout the entire body. And know that you can just be here in this spot, allowing the benefits of the practice today to permeate. I will watch the time and the space for us together. Slowly coming back into this space and time, considering deepening the inhales, lengthening throughout your exhales. Feeling that breath as it expands throughout the chest, the ribs, and throughout the heart space. And then on that exhale, feeling that hug that you give yourself thousands and thousands of times each day. Slowly pointing through the toes and then lifting the hands slowly, and I mean slowly, up overhead. Stretching out, pointing the toes, one hand and one arm. Once again, you might find that little bridge being created in the lower part of the back. Arms can come up overhead, feeling that openness throughout the shoulders, throughout the chest. And then releasing the hands back alongside the body. Choosing one side to slowly roll onto. And coming into that first and fetal position. The eyes can remain closed if that feels okay for you. And taking a round of breath here. Pressing down into that top hand to slowly allow yourself to come to that upright and seated position. Head and neck are last to stack upright. Legs can be crossed, can be on the knees. And then allowing yourself that soft gaze or the eyes closed, tucking of the chin, lengthening throughout the back of the neck. And if it feels authentic for you, planting the hands, the palms together at that heart center. And then once again, breathing in that love that you have received. Exhaling out that love that you might choose to give. Once more like that, inhaling that love that you feel and exhaling out what you choose to share with the world. If you'd like to join me on an inhale for Om, let's inhale together. Om. And bring those thumb knuckles up to that space between the eyebrows, giving yourself a little massage here. If it feels okay in your body and authentic to you, you can fold forward, sealing our time together and thanking yourself for making the space in your day to practice here. And then inhaling as you sit back upright, imagining the hands were books and you're opening the palms across the eyes. Slowly flickering the eyes open and spreading the fingers as the light comes back in. And bringing the hands back down to the heart center. Allowing me to thank you for choosing to spend the last 75 minutes here together. Always a pleasure, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thanks, Marquez.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining.